Before Europeans came to the Americas, before the implementations of Western ideas in the societies of native people, South America was a vast multicultural world. Today we will be talking about the people of the Inca Empire, especially women. In contrast to gender roles upheld by European women, the roles of the Inca women played in their society was a startling difference. Within the Inca Empire, Inca women upheld many important aspects of their society and culture. In this presentation, we will be talking about 3 particular aspects within the many they had represented through embroidery work. One of the most notable and important responsibilities women had within their society was weaving. Though men and women knew how to and did weave, weaving was a role and skill all women in the Inca Empire were expected to fulfill. Cloth represented many things within the Inca culture. It represented wealth, political position, and most importantly, to us, their history. Weaving included intricate designs as well as symbolism. Some of these symbolisms included colors, places, animals, and agriculture. Red represented conquest, rulership, and blood. Green represented rainforest, rain, agricultural growth, cocoa, tobacco, and their ancestors. Black represented creation and death. Yellow represented maize and gold. Purple was believed to be the first color. It was associated with Mama Ocla, the founding mother of Inca race. And finally, orange and white were additional colors used. The animal we chose, the snake, represented the underworld, or world of death, but is also associated with the belief that life is a cycle, which is why snake is in the circle. Cloth was used as a currency, a trading commodity. The Inca Empire would pay soldiers in cloth for their service, so the more cloth you have, the wealthier you were. So the more wives you had, the wealthier you were. This encouraged a whole range of weaving, in which both peasants and upper class participated in. For peasants, it was used as a tribute to the state, the Inca Empire. Though these designs people were able to identify others' political and social standing in society, certain designs were designated for certain classes of people. Articles of clothing provided an instant recognition of status, especially those of the royal family. For an example, the Sapa Inca in particular wore his clothing once and then would burn it, so clothing was in constant demand. This meant it needed to be produced all the time, which contributed to the tribute small communities paid to the Inca state as well as the Akla, which we will talk about later. One of these designs, in particular, is incorporated in our design. It is a military tunic of the Inca Empire, representing death, blood, and conquest. But one of the most important aspects of cloth, and those who wore it, is the historical impact. Because of the many symbolic meanings within each design, they hold a large significance in telling the stories of Incan people. Within the smaller communities of the Inca Empire, designs were based on their own community's history and their people. It highlighted beliefs, history, but also current events. The reason why these textiles are so important to us now is because the Incan people did not have a written language, so these textiles gave us an inside view of their history, documentation of their time. This is even more interesting because weaving was especially assigned to women, so when we have the feminine perspective of history, something that is rarely heard of in European standards, which is pretty awesome. Another important duty women had was preparing chicha, otherwise known as corn beer. Chicha is a traditional drink that holds great cultural significance to many South Americans and around the Andes. Chicha, or corn beer, is traditionally made by chewing and spitting out maize into a container, allowing the natural enzymes in human saliva to brew the drink before it is cooked and strained. However, there is no one chicha recipe. Each culture, region, and country has their own variation. Some include alternative ingredients to corn, such as potatoes, wild fruit, and cacti. Chicha was important to the ancient Andeans and still we're able to see its influences today. Early pottery from this region were likely created to hold and store chicha. Besides the physical evidence of chicha's importance, the drink also became part of a shared cultural identity. Many Andean groups felt that the chicha is a cultural signifier, hailing in art, music, rituals, social stratification, and much more that all inspired by the drink. One ritualistic system that arose from this is the connection between the acuales and chicha. Part of the role in Incan society was to prepare food and drink meant for special occasions, usually rituals or special celebrations. This meant these women were in charge of making the precious chicha. Some were regulated in making the chicha for the Incans, bound to them like servants. The importance of Akla women in chicha was because chicha was consumed in great quantities after the work of harvesting, making for a few festive mood of singing, dancing, and joking. Chicha was offered to gods and ancestors, much like other fermented beverages around the world were. And since it is offered to gods and ancestors, only the pure should be able to touch it and make it. So the Akla women, or the chosen women, were the ones. The Akla, the chosen women, were usually women from communities that were conquered by the Inca state. Male state representatives would choose women by the communities to take to the capital and become part of the elite group of women. The women were usually chosen for their youth and beauty, and it would be ranked by these standards along with social status when they joined the Akla Center. The Akla centers were where they would learn women duties such as spinning, weaving, cooking, preparing corn beer, and sometimes be educated in agriculture. They were renowned throughout the empire for their weaving, which would be gifted to the state and provincial officials. They were held in the highest regard along with priests. They were seen as upholding the moral order of the empire. Because these women were potential wives of the Inca, so they had to be celibate, even though local communities and provinces encouraged premarital sex. These women were religiously called sainted people and treated them like goddesses, since they were potentially marrying the Inca. These women were also taught from Inca Queen on how to take care of crops. The Inca Queen was in charge of transferring knowledge via training centers for noble women on the proper ways to grow cultivated in their crops, knowledge such as how to use fertilizer, which crops to plant, when to plant them, etc. Working within the fields was a common and expected women of all classes, even while pregnant. Labor was extremely important within the Inca culture, and laziness was frowned upon. The importance of Inca women. The chosen women in Inca religion were the women who lived in temple convents and under chastity. Their duties included the preparation of ritual food, the maintenance of a sacred fire, and the weaving of garments for the emperor and for ritual use. The importance of these women is what shaped the Inca Empire we know of in present day.